certified projects and advisory roles with global and national institutions. Welcome Dr. Priyanka upon stage. Now the next panelist we would like to introduce to you all is Mr. Nikhil Agarwal, Director, Signature Global Group. Everyone, let us all welcome him up on stage, who has leveraged his CA and Hall MBA expertise to drive strategic growth, operational excellence and premium real estate expansion, strengthening fiscal framework and reinforcing the growth visionary market leadership. Welcome on stage. Now I would like to call upon stage Ms. Vinita Dalal, Founder and Managing Director, Mount Key Capital. Everyone, let us all welcome her upon stage, who also Head of the Fund Management to Rustomjee Group, brings 17 years of real estate expertise, driving the India's first homegrown development-focused fund platform established in 2022. Welcome, Ms. Vinita, up on stage. Now, let me take this moment to call Namrata back on stage to please grab the seat. And I want you to please run the interactive session. One more time, everyone, let us all welcome Ms. Namrata Kohli. Welcome, Namrata, back on stage. Please.
Thank you, Ekta. And it's a pleasure to see not so slim audience after lunch. And all, I hope all geared up. And please brace up for this very important session, because we've seen it all in the last couple of days, right? Gurgaon floods, the cloudburst in Uttarakhand, the ravaging floods in Punjab, and the way we build today will not determine how we live tomorrow, but today, right? So the true value of a real estate project lies in not in what just it earns, but what it returns is what has been established. And we are here to discuss, couple of things, but basically why we need to build responsibly. And what is the ground we will try to cover. I thought it is important to set the expectations for our panelists and for our audience. We will try to establish the urgency of these reforms of ESG. We will try to also find out what is the incentive of doing, or the disincentive, if I may put it that way, of not complying to ESG. And finally, why it's not extracurricular, but rather essential to the core business of real estate or just life itself. So we have, I'm very delighted to see this distinguished panel. I think people who can, who believe in growth and goodness going hand in hand. Coming to the question to you, Priyanka, what is it that you would like to say about green being, we all talk of sustainability, but is that viable commercially?
And I think we are now at an existential crisis. If we do not follow green, we would cease to exist. Whether you look at the floods or you look at the kind of heat which is coming, and a lot of times just complying with policy would make a building green. But when we find routes and other channels, we really don't respect the environment, which is when it is expensive. So just in terms of defining what is expensive, we've also seen now that wildlife entering our large residential complexes, essentially because those forests were cut. While this is one side of the argument, on the other hand, I've actually done my thesis on the cost of green buildings and sustainability. In the civil works, of course it's cheaper to construct it if it's not high-rise, if local materials are being used. But if it is a commercial high-rise building, perhaps in the civil works it will cost about 5% more, and in the MEP and other aspects about 6 to 7% more. But like you said when you quoted Dr. Hiranandani, the payback period is well within 3 to 4 years. So in essence, I don't think making green is expensive, but if we don't make green, I think we will cease to exist, which will be very expensive.
No, I think very well articulated and point is well received. I'd like to ask Nikhil you a question, and you, Signature Global is literally the poster boy of affordable housing. and suddenly you launched air-conditioned apartments. On the face of it, it may just look like a lifestyle upgrade, but here was a affordable housing segment giving an air conditioner, and that is something more than just a product. It's a value-added service. It is giving you dignity and without really charging way too much. You must be, of course, criticized by certain lobbies. But what was the overall response and why did you do it?
So, first of all, thank you, Rita, for having me. I think affordability doesn't always mean basic, it doesn't mean cheap. It means more of value given at an affordable price with just about your pocket. So, when we pour into this market, we analyze that what and why people are not entering into affordable market. There were few challenges that still continue. The scaling limit that is not increased, the land prices are going up, the raw material prices are going up. But for us, it was more important to give comfort and dignity to people who are buying the house. So I think more importantly, it was not just a upgrade in the specification of the product offering, but also a lifestyle upgrade. The urban temperatures have been rising, of course. Usually in urban cities, you will see that the rural, as compared to rural area, is 4 to 5 degrees Celsius higher. So now it has become more of a necessity rather than a lifestyle upgrade. It is not a luxury anymore. From a sustainability point of view also, it was easier for us because we were controlling the higher star rating product that we were buying. So we were able to control the product which leads to lower carbon emissions while offering a better service to the customers. So of course we were criticized by the investors saying that the ceiling limit is fixed, they are selling at a price that we cannot demand more. But how do you manage the raw materials? So I think our pitch was always, and always have been, that the customer is the king, and we will deliver everything if it even leads to low margins. We will continue to give value homes to people, and that is how we were able to be awarded platinum, IGBC platinum in North India for the first time in any real estate project. So this has been our motive to segregate what people think about affordability as basic or cheap. So I think this is where we are going, and we would always want to.
Okay everyone, the final panel discussion of the day and the topic we have is digital transformation and data analytics is driving efficiency and customer experience in real estate. And now I would like to call our panelists to please join us upon stage, starting first with Mr. Santosh Kumar, Vice Chairman and a Rock Group. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome him with a big hand. Let's talk about Mr. Santosh Kumar. He is the Vice Chairman of Anarock Group, one of the India's leading real estate service firm, brings over 2 decades of industry expertise. As a former CEO of operations at JLL India, he oversaw business growth across 11 cities, driving efficiency and expansion. Let us all welcome Mr. Santosh Kumar, Vice Chairman, Anarock Group. Welcome, sir. We request you to please join us on stage and please take the seat. Meanwhile, I would like to call our next panelist to join us on stage. Our next panelist we have is Mr. Amit Goenka, Managing Director and CEO of Nissus Finance. We would like to request him to please join our panelists on stage. Mr. Amit Goenka is the founder and CMD of Nissus Finance. Mr. Goenka has built one of the India's most distinctive alternate asset management firm focusing on urban infrastructure, innovation and investor alignment. We would like to request Mr. Amit Goenka to please join us on stage. Meanwhile, we would like to call our panelists to please join. Mr. Rakesh Bhura, COO, Pioneer Urban Land and Infrastructure Limited. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome him with a big round of applause. With more than 3 decades of diverse experience spanning industries and geography across India and abroad, is the Chief Operating Officer of Pioneer Urban. Welcome, sir, on stage. On that note, again, we would like to request Mr. Amit Goenka, if you're here, to please join us on stage. Now, let us all call Anuradha back on stage. Anuradha, I'm thinking you are already ready with a lot of questions. So now I'm going to hand over this session to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please do have enjoy the session. And I'm sure this session is going to be the most important segment of the show. So Anuradha, over to you.
Have you faced any challenges as well while trying to make them understand how these digital technologies work, or are they very adaptive to it?
As far as the things which I told you, like WhatsApp group, WhatsApp chatbots, and they are all very aware of it, reads everything. Once the project becomes operational, that is the place where we have to digitally educate them with all the other facilities which are also being monitored electronically, or automations are there. Like seniors, we would be having immediate response, automated response systems. They would be getting all their medical updates or reminders, medicine reminders, etc. The apartments will be synchronized in a way where they would be having a list of their close dear family members. Just a touch of a button and they can get onto a video call with them. So these are various other aspects of the project which once they start living in the project, they would be educated onto that.
Yeah,
I think they are fast learners.
Yes, they are fast learners. I think more and more elderlies are adapting to digital technologies and are not being left behind. And that's a good thing even for the real estate sector as we engage with them more. Yes, sir. So from a financial perspective, do you think data is helping investors and lenders to access the project viability better when it comes to investment in AIFs or other asset classes?
See, certainly we have moved to a digital transformation space very quickly over the last 3 years, and it has accelerated where AI has now become central focus to everything that we do. Earlier, underwriting was based on intuition. Now it's based on pure data intelligence. There were a sense of I know it to what now the data tells us. So I think risk data analysis is very deep rooted into technological engagement, which is a function of availability, processing and compatibility of data with regards to the opportunity set. So you have a lot of PropTech integration happening, which allows data to get aggregated. The platforms like PropEquity, PropX, several other, CRE Matrix. They're able to get you a very high quantum of data with regards to actual transactions, leasing, sales, mortgages, launches. You're able to crunch all this to create intelligible outputs, to create benchmarks with regards to your underwriting and create a more risk mitigated modeling framework for the purpose of underwriting your credit risk. You have to understand that today we are looking at investing close to 14 lakh crore rupees annually, cumulatively into India real estate, which comprises of domestic capital as well as global capital. When you have such a large quantum of money getting deployed in a sector, it cannot be no longer done on a hunch or a gut feel or an intuition, which is typically what it was, relationship and intuition. Okay, now it's based on research and intelligence. So the R&I has changed to research and intelligence, and that has now become the center focus for all investment thesis in India as well. So in terms of assurance, what technology does is it provides a very high framework for investor and lender assurance when it comes to risk and credit underwriting, when it comes to asset level monitoring and advanced analytics, where an AI dashboard can actually do predictive analysis on what are the fault lines and what is likely to go wrong and how you can take post-corrective actions early on. And it does it predictively in real-time basis to actually asset monitoring on the ground, looking at sales as well as completion cycles and cost curves. We're able to actually map cost curves in real time to looking at exit plans and potential outcomes, which are now becoming more and more accurate rather than a range of values that we derive, between what can go wrong to what can go right. You today have a very accurate range of what is likely to happen the most with a 90% plus probability range. So that makes it even more predictable. To the ability to actually look at multiple asset classes and stack opportunities on a risk-adjusted basis asset class, basis location, basis counterparty, and take the best opportunity forward. Earlier it was more an allocation theory. Today it is a decision matrix which is based on data analytics, and it is thrown up by a lot of quantum computing that is happening on the background. Fortunately, we have a lot of infra getting built around these capabilities. If you look at our data center capabilities, we're looking at almost 3 gigawatts worth of capacity coming into our country in data centers. So in-house data crunching capabilities and data storage and AI computing capabilities have been on the rise. The ability to collate data from multiple sources and make it available on a common platform is obviously increasing. Now we're seeing governments also adopting blockchain to be able to give you registry level data. When you can have all of the registrar data on blockchain, all of the RERA data on blockchain, that will further advance our computing and our risk management skills. And technology is playing a big role in being able to use Web3 and other resources, to be able to do. And it's not just, it's genetic AI, it's advanced computing, it's LLM tools. All of them are now becoming forefront when you need capital engaging with technology, engaging with experience. So it's no longer asset and location. It's actually technology, capital and experience. How capital can engage with technology to give you the best experience. And I think that is where technology is playing the largest role. Whether you look at CRM, whether you look at construction, whether you look at customer experiences, finally it's all about experience. What do I experience real estate as? It's no longer a physical asset, it's an experiential asset. Even for an investor, it's an experience of investing and exiting with an appropriate outcome. And I think that is where the predictability is becoming even more important, especially given the dynamism of experiences required by the generation. What Gen X and Gen Y needed, the next gen, the Gen Z needs a different experience. And therefore the consumption patterns change, and therefore the investment patterns change. And that is where sustainability also marries with technology. Is it sustainable enough? Is it worthy for the next gen to be able to consume it for the foreseeable future? Because that's where your money is going to come out. So technology is becoming a very large plug into this entire predictive analytics to be able to capitalize on an opportunity and monetize it suitably. And that is what we as a fund house do, is we're using large level data, we're using LLM models, using predictive analytics, we're using Gen AI tools to be able to come up with risk models which are able to do better underwriting on outcomes and actually then monitor it in real time. So clearly today an investor looks at a technological backbone when they're looking at investment opportunities, whether that backbone or that framework exists to be able to come up with all of these answers and to come up with all of these solutions before capital goes to work. So clearly it is now a center focal. Few years back, it was about green energy or green development, sustainable investments. I think now it has become a hygiene issue. If you don't have it, there is no opportunity irrespective of outcomes. So it's now no longer a central point of discussion. What is now more focal is how do you make it happen predictably and in real time.
That's very insightful, sir. In fact, you have rightly mentioned that we have moved on from intuition to analysis. And that is what real estate it is about today. It is not just about what intuition you think the sector is going to become. You have to analyze it. And it is being done through AI and technological advancements. And you have also rightly said it is more about experiences now. And that is where we are heading forward to.